So welcome to the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School District meeting for December 8th. First thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we please stand. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any public comments?
Yes.
Richard will ask that you state your name and what town you're from.
Sure. This is Elizabeth Duffy, and I'm from Shaftesbury. I just wanted to, I have a couple concerns that I hope, I think speaks for a lot of parents in the district. One of the things was the email we got Sunday after Thanksgiving saying that we were moving into virtual learning. My concern is that, we got a lot of emails and we worked very, very hard to make sure that we were not gathering for the holidays. A lot of folks were following the rules just to get an email on Sunday night within hours of the start of in-person learning on Monday, stating we are moving into a virtual workspace with zero explanation other than there were staffing issues. My concern is there a double standard for staff versus teachers, and where's the transparency in the decisions that are being made by the board? The other thing I'm really concerned about is that there's no written policy for if a child has to quarantine for 14 days because of something like out-of-state travel. There's no written policy explaining how that learning can still take place when they are not able to be in the classroom. So, I am very transparent in talking to Jeff Johnson and my daughter's teachers about our plans to travel to New Jersey for the holidays. And upon returning, we will be in quarantine for the state allotted time. But I feel like that, using a very vague excuse as to why we went into a very sudden virtual environment on, Sunday night after a long weekend. And I had heard, and I'm not a teacher, so I don't know this, that there was some sort of a survey that went out and too many staff didn't follow the rules. So why is there a double standard and why is there no transparency?
Want to answer that, Jim?
Well, I do want to follow your policy about public comment, and I can address that during my superintendent's report, but it's not, public, it's public comment. We let the public comment, and I can address it during my report.
Okay, so that means, Ms. Duffy, I just want
to say that I'm not being deflective. It's policy is that the public makes comments and then the board decides whether they want to instruct an answer or they want to get back and do research and whatever they want to do. But it's not public discussion, it's public comment if we follow the policy, but I will address some of your concerns during my report.
Okay, that sounds fair. All right. Is there any other public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll go down to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So move to accept consent agenda.
You have someone raising their hand to do public comment. Melissa?
Oh,
I don't see that.
Yeah, I'm asking her to unmute her mic.
Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Please state your name.
Melissa Miola, I live in Shaftesbury.
Okay. And your concern?
My concern is in regard, and I had spoken with Jeff Johnson about it and emailed Laura Boudreau and Mr. Culkeen, James Culkeen, but I did not get a response from Mr. Culkeen about the absentee policy during COVID. My biggest concern is how attendance, the inconsistencies of how attendance is being taken, and the fact that work has to be completed to be considered present on a school day. And my biggest concern as a parent is the possibility of truancy issues that this presents. especially for kids who are having difficulty with the independence required for remote learning. And I don't think that completing work and being present for school are really the same thing. So I would just like the district and the board to revisit how they are evaluating whether or not students are marked absent. And I had looked at the state guidelines, and they seem not nearly as punitive and strict as what our district has put in place. It seemed, more like if the kids just do a morning check-in, or if they, make some sort of effort to complete some of their assignments, or looking at it in terms of the whole week, if they can get their things done. But the daily completion of all assignments turns out to be, I feel, very punitive for students who are really struggling with remote learning. And like I said, brings up also potential legal issues for parents. If they keep being marked absent on remote learning days, it starts rolling into truancy issues for not completing assignments. And I think that there is a big difference between the two. So that is my comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, we'll mention that later, Jim.
Yep.
Take that up.
Cover that during the report.
Okay. Once again, is there any other public comment? Speak now.
Can I just ask a question while we're on this, or should we wait? Do we have to wait till the superintendent's report?
You can ask me a question then. Yeah. This is really the public comment part of the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll be happy to take your questions in my report.
Okay, so you're going to wait? All right, down to the consent agenda.
Looks like Dick had a question.
Dick.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for the members of the public that participate here. Too often we try to make the best decisions in a vacuum without input, and I want to thank those folks that provided input.
Yes, we do appreciate it. This is a different time for all of us, and being on Zoom for a meeting is totally different. So we're doing the best we can. But again, I appreciate public comment. Well, hopefully we'll get you some answers. All right, on to the consent agenda. We had, I think it was voted on.
I move to approve.
Yeah. Did we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Cindy, I'm on phone.
Okay. All right. Is there any questions on the consent agenda? Any discussions? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying your name. Okay.
Dick,
I see
aye.
Dick. I see Tammy.
I
Sue.
Susan.
All right. Okay, Chaya? I didn't hear from you. Are you muted?
She's raising her hand, yes.
Okay, see, I can't see her. All right, Scott?
His hand up, yes.
Okay. All right, that's all of them? All right.
Yeah, Cindy,
That's
it's
passed.
Susan. I got you on, but I have no voice.
We can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Next is the finance. This is the treasurer's report. Is there any, can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion on the finance? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say your name and raise your hand.
Dick,
Aye.
All right, Jeff.
Hi, Scott. Hi.
Sheila. Aye.
Thank you.
Hi,
Joe.
Susan.
Okay, and Scott did too. All right. So we're down to the superintendent's report.
Good evening. So let me go right to the two questions first. Regrettably, it was a last-minute decision to go remote. The member of the public is right. There was a survey of staff, all staff, not not just teachers, administrators, maintenance workers, custodians, office staff, all staff were asked one question in an anonymous survey. Would they need to abide by the governor's mandate that if you attended a multi-household gathering during Thanksgiving? And the determination was made that we would not be able to open school based on what the attendance would have been on Monday because of how many had to quarantine. We typically have around a 10% absenteeism rate, all employee groups over the day, and it was going to be significantly greater than that. So I felt that we would not be able to safely open schools, and that's why that decision was made. The governor's guidance on this, or mandate on this, expires December 15th. Whether he is going to extend it and put us in the same situation for the winter holiday in December, I don't know that. He usually does his mandates in 1 month increments. So will he extend that through the holiday break? I don't know yet, but we will watch that and we will make a decision on whether we can safely operate the schools after the Christmas break. And I hope to be able to tell parents, if that's the case that we're not, earlier than the Sunday night. But I had the information, I want to say Sunday afternoon, I knew what the results of the survey were. So it's regrettable. I want our students in school. I want our staff in school, but I want everybody to be safe too. We have Assistant Superintendent Laura Boudreau here. I've asked her to answer the second question on attendance during remote learning.
Yeah, thank you again for the question, and again, thank you for reaching out. So so the spring was a very different scenario than now, where we were provided with much more leniency from the state. We are required to take daily attendance, and it needed to look much different because we are also required to measure learning. So the shift was, and it was based on the guidance we received from the state, that you try to provide something that a student can show up to see with their, to meet with their teacher in it could be office hours, it could be some kind of direct instruction. It varies by school. So there are required daily synchronous and asynchronous activities that schools, teachers and principals have worked to develop that then work towards attendance. Where we've tried to be flexible is, so we do have to take attendance every day, but we've tried to be flexible in looking at the day, because we know that for a lot of our children, especially our small children, that parents are needed to help support. And so a day is not, attendance day can be more than a typical 8 to 3 day, because we know sometimes families are sitting with their children in the evening, or maybe early in the evening because of working. So there is flexibility in that. And so we do post these expectations. They're on our website. They're right on we have a COVID-19 link and a distance learning link, and the family expectation documents are all there. And then there's an attendance piece to make sure that we're clear, but we're always looking for feedback so we can revisit our system. And then for any families that are remote, if families are choosing to stay remote right now, that was also one of the expectations that we shared on the document as a requirement. And so this is different than, so the state of Vermont offers home study, or something, the state of Vermont calls it home study. Some people call that homeschool. There are also a set of expectations that families are welcome to explore through that lens as well. But again, we appreciate the feedback as we're looking at our system, and we know that that this, is a really unprecedented time, and attendance is something that we take seriously, and we appreciate the question, and we'll continue to work on our system.
It was
Thank you,
good.
Laura. This is very difficult process that we're in. I am concerned about your principals and the stress that they are operating under. Your teachers, your support staff, all are being asked to do things that they weren't particularly trained for or ever expected. And it's going on much longer than I think anyone anticipated. And there really doesn't appear to be an end in sight anytime soon. Yes, there's a vaccine on the horizon. A meeting that Laura and I were in today, we heard the number of vaccines that will be available in Bennington over the coming weeks, and it's a minuscule number. So it's not going to be a quick solution to return to in-student learning. I am glad that we're back this week and that we did not have to shut down for 2 weeks of remote learning. I will tell you, without going into specifics, because I want to protect privacy, but we did have multiple positive cases this week. I believe the number might have been 4. And we did not have to close any schools this week because it all took place last week when people were remote. So there was no contact tracing necessary. Nobody was in the schools who were positive. So that is a good thing that came out of last week. But, as you've heard tonight and as you've heard before, there are many students that are struggling and families that are struggling with remote learning. And we're going to do all we can. We have, as you know, we have some students and families that have their students in 4 days a week. Some are on 2-day hybrid models. And if there are families that they should speak to their principal if they feel that, or counselor, if they are struggling with remote learning and they need it to be into the building, then we will try to make that accommodation. But start that with the principal. I'll repeat something that I've said quite often, and I'll keep saying it. Nobody asked for this situation. It's nobody's fault. And I truly believe everyone is doing the best they can with resources stretched thin and people pulling extra duties. And it's the list of who I need to commend is too long. The other thing I want to talk to you, we're in the middle of budget season. Your Director of Finance and Operation has draft budgets ready. The SU will have their first budget meeting tomorrow afternoon, because for those you may remember, we have to do the SU budget first, because what that gets set at, the assessment from the SU reflects in your budget. So before we can finalize any of the district budgets, we have to do the SU. I'm asking if you would be available to meet a week from tonight in this same time. So Tuesday at 5 o'clock for the first budget meeting for the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School District. So,
Jim, I'm just going to let you know that is Hanukkah for the people who do celebrate non-Christian holidays.
All right.
So just be aware of that, because I will not be attending.
Well, with that knowledge, we may have to rethink it. As you know, we're with all the multiple boards and different budgets trying to find open times, but we'll hold off warning that until I meet with Renee again and see if there's another time that would work for her.
Yeah, and I can always send input if I have to, but I just need to let you know that.
Well, I want to be respectful of all holidays, so if we can find another day, we will. But thank you for that. Any questions for me that I haven't addressed?
Just one thing about these, emergency remote days. I did hear from some families who both parents, are essential workers. And, that happens to be my case is, a 10-year-old kid, we cannot leave a home alone. And I had to make a choice between, not going to work, which is pretty much frowned upon for patient care, or my wife not going to work, was also a teacher. So is there a, I guess, contingency plan for people who are in the same boats, whether they be doctor, teacher couples or families?
If you're not already participating in our school care, we do not have the capacity to do
The thing
that.
is, we have the daycare on the other days, but on these remote Monday, Tuesdays, what do we do I guess as parents? Because the daycare was
Once again, as I said, we had school care. We were not able to do it on Monday because we're still scrambling to see what staffing levels we're going
but
to
the
be.
school
So
care,
school care set it up.
but the people have school care on the other days, like we're in a remote location on
Right.
school care because there was nothing set up beginning of the year. So we set up a remote care on Thursday, Friday. So our kids in a remote care Thursday, Friday, but they didn't offer on Monday, Tuesdays. And there are a couple families in Shasbury that will fall under that umbrella because they're all on the same remote care on Thursday, Friday. I mean, I can think of 6 kids who fall into that category in Shasbury. I mean, we can come to you as a
What
family.
you're asking, Jeff, is something that is pretty close to impossible. If we had the staff to open school would be open. For us to take students in to, pivoting, instantly create childcare for students who aren't already in there, I don't see how that could happen.
Okay.
It's, again,
And I think
I'm
part of
not
it
happy with the situation either.
Yep.
But I would prefer that we were in school than everyone attends school.
I think part of it was these families involved for this section is another school district moved forward and they set up something in August for remote care. And that was the concern with the staff, was that they would not be able to have their children because they were all in the age of, elementary kids. So the district, created remote care for those B days. It was just like, it just seemed like, we're behind. If we knew the district that time was going to do remote care, we'd have signed up. At that point in August, the district had nothing in place. So.
And I guess we failed there. But where, again, as I'm saying, I believe everyone is trying the best they can. We're not going to please and be able to accommodate everyone, but we certainly, our director of early child care has certainly worked hard to accommodate who we can accommodate. But you can be assured that we are constantly looking at this and trying to see where we can increase our capacity. But there's no way that we're going to be able to accommodate everyone. That is the reality. As much as we may want something to happen, if we go remote, and if there's a possibility that we may have to go remote after the next holiday break, and I hope that that's not the case, but if it is, then I can't sit here and promise that then for everyone who needs childcare, that we would be able to accommodate them. At that point, I would hope that we'd have enough staff just to continue school.
Okay, Richard, Dick had his hand up. You're muted.
I'm unmuting him.
Okay.
This may sound like a generic, stupid question, but I know you've used up all your subs. How are the subs doing with this kind of setup, since they probably don't have the same syllabus to work with or the same training, I guess?
It's a good point, because when we looked at trying to provide additional childcare, could we shift staff? And from my early childhood educators tell me if it's not someone who works there, I shouldn't be shifting them. And then also our COVID-19 coordinator would tell me, like, so for example, so I have some support staff at the high school who have availability in their schedule. So shift them to the elementary school and have them provide childcare for essential workers. The issue is, one, I'm mixing pods, which we strive to prevent. And they have no experience working with that age group. So I may have staff, but I may not have the staff that I need available. Scott.
I just want to pass on I realize it's certainly an unenviable position that you and the district was in to make this decision. I think we all wish it could have been sooner. Certainly we hope that there's more information as we come out of the Christmas holiday to be able to make it so you all can make that decision sooner. But my personal appreciation for the bold move that you did take on Sunday afternoon. I know that it was hard for families. We all know that it was really hard for families. There's 4 people that didn't spread the virus because they weren't there. 4 sounds like a little amount, but 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, or 4 times 4 times 4 times 8, it becomes a major spreader. We saw it with hockey in the central part of the state. We've seen it in other areas. I thank you for being bold. Thank you for making the decision you did. We all wish it could have been better, but I do appreciate it.
My intent was not really to go this far tonight in conversation because there's so many different things that are in play here. Staffing levels, what the state's going to do. But I'm really waiting to see if the governor is going to extend his order beyond the 15th. And our intent, we would, and here's the problem, Scott, once I say something publicly, everyone takes it as, it's ironclad. But as you know, we do weekly newsletters to parents. So the Friday, December 18th, we hope to issue the advisory of what we're going to do after the holiday break on that day, so parents have as much knowledge. So you guys have kind of pulled that out of me. I wasn't going to say it because then people are going to say the superintendent said we're going to be remote after Christmas. Superintendent is saying that by December 18th we will make that decision. So I hope that helps from the family point of view. There's a lot of positives to why we may do that. Part of it is for 1 week. The quarantine rules are getting very fuzzy. The CDC versus what the state of Vermont is saying. The CDC is dropping the 14-day requirement. So one of our thoughts was that if we went remote for 1 week after the holiday break, people would be showing symptoms by that point. And for when they return to school on, I think it's whatever the next, it would be the 11th. They would be caught in our normal screening process. We would, they would have to answer their questions of the screening, and we would avoid asking the questions of, did you gather at grandmom's house on Christmas? Which I would really like to avoid asking students that question. Because the governor's language is that he said we may ask that question. He did not say that we shall ask that question. And there's quite a bit of controversy on asking that. And the truth of the matter is most of our families and the majority of our staff, a huge majority of our staff did abide by those regulations, but it was too much that I felt that I could safely open school. And I don't want people to lie because they're afraid that they're going to be punished or there's going to be some type of retribution. I would much rather than be honest, and we have to make that difficult decision to go remote than risk spreading the disease because people felt compelled that they had to come to work. Go ahead, Scott. Are you muted again? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's the CDC guideline is interesting. We heard when they said it that the reason why they're doing it is because they hope for more compliance, not because it's better or safer. So let's do the safe thing.
True.
And I am, and I'm not. I'll go back to Jeff's point. I am not unsympathetic, and it does bother me that we're not accommodating everyone. And I have a real concern of what students may be falling behind through all of this. Particularly, Laura mentioned it in her comments, what happened last spring is so different than what is taking place now. We're in crisis mode, emergency mode. We were really more worried about social emotional contact with our students, a check-in with our teachers. The content became secondary. And as this pandemic lengthened, content became necessary. What else could I answer for the board? I'm sorry that my camera is off. I might be bringing it back. I keep saying that it keeps telling me my connection is unstable. We'll try it again. At least it's not saying I'm unstable yet.
Not yet. Okay. You all set, Jim?
I am, unless I'd be happy to answer whatever question anybody has.
Is there any other questions for Jim? All right. Well, I want to thank you, Laura and Jim, both for answering or trying to answer the people that had comments. And people have to understand that this is such an unusual situation that we're in. And it's trying to teach children. It's worse than trying to run a supermarket. You know, you can put products on the shelf, but trying to educate the children. I personally want to say thank you, Jim, to you, the teachers, and everyone at central office. You know, you're continually trying effort to keeping the children educated and for everything you're doing. And naturally, there's going to be some ups and downs, mostly downs. But what you're trying to do is keep them up. And I for one, want to say thank you for that. I wouldn't want your job for love nor money. But you guys are really doing, you get through this, you can do anything. That's my personal feelings.
Thank you, Cindy, but I have to thank the team that I work with, two of them that are here tonight.
Oh, yeah, everyone at central office. I mean, I want to thank all of them. It takes a community to do what you're doing.
But I appreciate, the comments from Jeff and the public. It clearly means we need, there's more to do. There's always going to be more to do. And we're not going to get there for everyone, but I can promise you we're going to try the best we can.
And I think it's important that they do step forward, because there are issues, and sometimes with all the issues that are hanging over all your heads, there might be one or two that you think, oh, I didn't even think of that. Or there might be an easy answer from you guys. Who knows? But again, I think it's really important that they step up and let you know, instead of sitting back and chewing and saying, oh, blah, 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 it's important to go right to the source. And that would be you, Jim.
Thank you.
Unfortunately.
No, that's what I'm here for. And thank you for acknowledging that this is a difficult time.
Very.
The frustrating part for all of us is that, as I said, there's a little flicker of light at the end of the tunnel, because there is, at least 3 vaccines coming to the market. But when we're going to see it, that's going to impact education. And I know it's not an issue with this board, but I'm sure you're all wondering, winter sports is still on hold. And that is such a big part of the middle school and high school experience for so many of students. And we can't give them that back either, but we need to keep them safe. And the idea of putting kids in a gymnasium playing basketball right now just probably doesn't fly with what we're trying to do physically distancing in classrooms. And when we're going to get updated, we did get guidance for that to start, and practices were going to be allowed to start November 30th, but then that got pushed off. So whether that'll be part of the governor's update on the 15th or 16th, whenever he announces whether he'll continue his order or not, we're just going to monitor it and then shift to what the best we can do.
I think Dick had his hand up.
Well, I just want to leave you with a quote I stumbled on today. I don't know whose quote this is, but it goes, anything that disrupts our usual ways of being can lead us to try new ways of being that might be improvements to our lives. That's what we're going through. And let's just keep working at it.
So let me end on a couple of positives. One, the Abbey Group continues to do a tremendous job And on the 23rd of December, they'll be that is an asynchronous day. So they're going to be doing their food delivery routes, and they'll be sending out on that day 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches. They can't, that's the capacity that they can do. So they can't send out enough meals for the entire vacation period, but they are going to send out 7, which is a tremendous effort on them as they continue. But I'm also worried about them. Their staff needs to rest, because I keep telling everybody we're in this for the long haul. So we need to get everybody rest. And I'm looking at my notes, Laura, and there's one, and I'm going to call on you. You don't even know what I'm going to say, but another positive is WHAM. And a couple of our schools, what they produced. Would you like, you feel, I surprised you. Could you talk about that and direct people where to see it?
Absolutely. Part of our, and it was in the banner, which was great. Part of our work, as it gets colder and we're spending more time inside, especially in the schools, and we want to keep our schools open, we initiated a kind of a fun contest with the arts, art and music, and phys ed to come up with some either cute little jingles for WHAM, which is wash your hands, arm's length, and wear your mask. And Molly Stark School created video, which was choreographed by Allison Hoffman. It was fantastic, and kids and adults practicing WHAM. And then Emily Umflitt at Chasper Elementary School also had students, she went through the lens of the visual arts. And so again, we're using those tools now to continue to remind our community so that we can stay in school, that these are the 3 most important things you can be doing. So yeah, it was a huge positive. And we again thank the banner for sharing. And it was Benel's Sarah Rogers, a behavior specialist there, that helped to come up with the idea.
And it is on our website if you want to see it.
Great. Sounds excellent. All right. So Jim, you will get in touch with the board members as far as our meeting next week.
Reschedule budget date.
Reschedule budget.
Next Tuesday.
Okay. That's important. All right. Well, I don't see anything else under the chair's report, except that I want to tell all my fellow board members, please have a safe and happy holiday. I was going to say see you next year, but I guess it's going to be next week instead. And
we really need one budget meeting before we break for.
And I understand that. And I'm not happy with the state. They're still working on it, but it looks like they're going to be giving us a 0.9% increase. So I'm hoping we aren't going to be as high as that. It's really going to be tough. But all right, until we meet you again next week.
Letter, Cindy, is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I have inside report here from the
We received that last week, and it's
legislators here.
Typically it goes down from there. Let's hope that it does.
Let's hope. Yes, I'm hoping. All right. So if there's no other business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion. No choking.
Sorry.
Okay. Dick, you make a motion, Dick? He's
So move. Yeah.
okay. Have a second? Tammy's raising her hand. All right, all those in favor. I'm sure nobody wants to say no. So Richard, I hope you got all the information. Jim, thank you very much for your help.
All right.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye now.
Good night.
Yes. Bye.